One really interesting aspect of the publishing industry is that it has benefited from extremely high barriers to disruption, particularly the scholarly publishing industry. It's actually pretty remarkable that it still exists largely in the form that it has done for centuries, despite many attempts to disrupt it and innovate around it. So the web itself was invented, for example, by Tim Berners-Lee, as a means to improve dissemination of scientific information, which in other words is disrupt scholarly publishing. Andreessen Horowitz famously said that software is eating the world to describe how information technology, particularly via the web, has disrupted every industry it has touched, except for scholarly publishing. So the second edge to that particular sword is that those same things that protect the industry, which are the third-party payer mechanism, the network effects around academic prestige, evaluation and reward, risk aversion inside institutions themselves, has traditionally reduced the need for innovation amongst publishers. To make an analogy to evolutionary theory, it seems sometimes that publishers are a little bit like a species of small tropical bird, on an island that has yet to evolve any sharp teeth or big claws or anything to protect itself. So to stretch that analogy a little bit, there's this sort of risk, I think, that at some point a European explorer will show up with a cargo hold that's got rats in it, and our niche evolved tropical bird that is academic publishing will be in a little bit of trouble. So arguably efforts like Sci-Hub represent the first warnings that this is still possible. So I personally rather avoid that sort of disruptive event, and that might be a risk to the scholarly record itself. It would be better for publishers to be part of and to take a leadership role in reinvigorating scholarly comms through various types of technology and innovation. So how do publishers do that without just throwing away their existing revenue streams? So if you're a large multinational like Elsevier, Springer Nature, or Wiley, there's a well-trodden path, a tried and tested strategy that has been used in other industries, and you can call that innovation at the edge. So a large, well-funded company with legacy business models and processes can either invest in startups and small innovative companies and adjacencies, or create their own sandbox that is isolated and protected from the big machine to develop those innovative ideas. If and when those new ideas work, resources can be diverted to grow those new ideas and shift the focus of the business over time. There's been some really good and effective approaches to that in our industry, and people have had some success doing that, particularly changing content companies slowly over time into more service-oriented organizations. So for a small organization, however, like a learned society, it's a lot harder because many of them are working with small number of staff, fairly thin margins, and a limited number of products, often only one or two journals that are generating revenue. So in those instances, there is strength in co-opetition. Not cooperation or competition, but the hybrid of the two, co-opetition. And that is, organizations can band together through things like trade associations or create new organizations to enable them to share risk of innovation between partners. People like ALPS and SSP, as well as service providers like Crossref and ORCID and so on, can be very helpful here, as well as some of the newer initiatives that we see, like SOC-PC is a great example. That's society publishers getting together to, as I say, spread risk and do innovation together. So a specific interest of More Brains is how to create those types of collaborative organizations. We recently wrote an article actually published in the January 2021 issue of Learned Publishing, which is free to read if anyone wants to go chase it down and have a look at it. And we did 2 case studies in that, Crossref and the UK National PID Consortium, that discuss how cooperative governance structures and risk sharing is an evolving area of business. So the big challenge with innovative and disruptive tech is often that when it first appears, its use cases are not necessarily obvious to business leaders. But I think that if you work together to share the risk of innovation and experiment and develop things together through co-opetition, it's possible to spread that load, to spread that risk, and allow those new innovations and those new models and new ideas to kind of surface over time.